Hey, y'all. What's going on? It's the Brown Girl, creator of the Brown Girl Experience. And I am back. Baby, I'm back in these podcasting streets. And I am back with a new series called Cypher Sundays. Cypher Sundays is for and about Black women. Like, fellas, you can definitely come in and get a listen and soak in the knowledge. But it's for the good sis. You know, in every episode, we are going to feature one of my favorite songs that taught me something about me. And this episode, we decided I was going to mix a little bit of mental health and a little bit of spiciness. So we're going to get into Floetry Say Yes. But before we get into the layers today, I want you to think about the first time that you heard Floetry Say Yes. You know, because when I heard it, the first thing that got me thinking about how it makes desire sound so easy. So fluid, so natural. Like all you have to do is breathe, look cute, and just say yes. Unless you're neurodivergent. Yeah, child, all my neuro-spicy baddies, we all know that saying yes ain't never, ever been that simple. Because honestly, here's the thing. When a lot of people think about neurodivergence, even when they talk about it, they always talk about it as it relates to work. You know, productivity, our daily task, our forgetfulness, our object permanence and everything, our meltdowns and crash outs, our mental loads. But the moment that it's time for intimacy, or we're talking about it in the bedroom or sex, the world pretends that we are magically no longer neurodivergent, which is wild to me because that same brain of mine that couldn't focus at work, child, that brain is supposed to be present and, you know, sensual and dripping like an R&B song from the 90s. Child, no, it's not. Still can't focus and everything. That same body that crashes out at Walmart because of too much going on, it still crash out in the bedroom. Like, let me speak directly to the neuro-spicy brown girls listening. Pleasure, sensuality, intimacy is the hardest. I say the hardest part of being of this neurodivergent life that we ain't signed up for. Because if we're calling a thing, 9 times out of 10, we want it. Yeah, we want it. We crave that connection. We crave that soft, sensual, soul satisfying intimacy and magnificent orgasmic experiences. But the way these brains are set up, child, the way these brains are set up is complicated at best, and sometimes it's sadly hilarious, you know. And I think about the time when I say sadly hilarious, I think about the time that I found out that football was better than my back shots. Yeah, that's an ego thing right there. But let me tell you how I learned that distraction was my arch nemesis in the bedroom. You know, picture this. Let's bring it back to 2018 in New Jersey suburbs. Somebody's son was blessing me from behind. My spirit said, girl, look back at it. You know, see how this man is enjoying, how he's loving what I am tossing back at him. Is he appreciating the art? Is he appreciating everything that I have to give him in this moment? Sis, when I tell you, I turned around slow, expecting to see this man just enjoying me. And when I tell you, this human being who is inside of me is watching the fucking Eagles game. Child, and he was all in it, like completely turned around. He didn't even know that I turned back to look back at it. He was not there. When I tell you, my pussy dried up so fucking fast, instant Sahara desert. When I tell you, game over, flag on the play, whatever other football analogy that you want to toss in the mix, put that there. And then my ADHD brain said, hey girl, don't even worry about it. I'm going to take things over from here. Yeah, and she jumped in and she came in and activated all the thoughts. Every single one of them. The weird ones, the ones that made sense. Like, I'm asking myself, is he bored? You know, am I the halftime show? Is he counting fantasy points or strokes? Like, what is going on? Do I try harder? Do I change positions? Do I just fake that shit to get it over with? And then the random thoughts started entering the picture. Did I lock my car doors? You know, and then I'm thinking, I got a taste for crabs right now. Do crabs hate to see Black people coming? Who decided that we're going to put butter in lobster or lobster in butter? Like, who decided all this? all these thoughts was coming in at once. There was nothing filtering out. It was all full go. Like I was no longer present in the room. I was fully living in my head, living out a million scenarios. My rhythm was off at this point. My feelings was hurt. Okay. My ego was on time out and my inner thoughts was trying to give me the pep talk. It was like, focus, girl, focus. Get back in the game, sis. Arch that back, catch his strokes, toss it back harder, steal him away from his fucking precious eagles. And this like remind this man that this box is what he needs to be focusing on. It was the best pep talk that my inner voice could give me. Yeah. It just didn't work. Yeah, I just kept getting drier. Like if we kept going, I was gonna start a fire at that point. And I faked it. Yeah, girl, I faked it. And I know right now there's a girlie out there saying, girl, why was you faking it? He was failing you. And you're right. In theory. But the thing about me that I'm aware of now is that my ADHD comes with a side of RSD, which is rejection sensitive dysphoria. Layman's terms, the teeniest hint of disappointment, it feels like a personal attack. And for me, the side effects is crippling. I pause out, I freeze up. So instead of speaking up, I slipped into people pleasing mode. Yeah, that's always been my go-to from the time that I was a kid. It's a survival technique that I learned to protect myself, even if it meant silencing myself. Now, I'm not saying that was the best solution, but I'm saying at the time with the skill set that I had and the knowledge that I had, it was the only one that I had. But the moment did teach me something, in order for me to really enjoy sex. Not only do I need to be present in the moment, but my partner does too. Yeah, it's a non-negotiable for me now. Like it's literally one of the ways that I protect my orgasms by any means necessary. And I say that shit with my chest, yo. Because here's the thing with us ADHD girlies, when the vibe can go fast and when it's gone, it's gone. So we have to put things in place to protect our pleasure. That's one of the reasons that I'm so transparent about my experiences, because I want y'all to learn from my mishaps. Because child, one of the things that I don't want you to do is to be like me. I still get PTSD when it comes to anytime a man wants to hit it from the back. Shit, I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I haven't looked back at it since 2018 because I'm not going to willingly participate in hurting my own feelings again. No, like my ego can't take it. It is fragile. And that's where I want to get in today's topic, and the topic was really inspired by a neurodivergent and a neurotypical couple. They were together. And I followed them on Facebook and they were talking about how her ADHD gets in the way of their sex life sometimes. And when I tell you, this was the first time that I heard language put to my experiences. And I felt so fucking seen. So of course, what I was going to do? I took notes and remixed that shit so that we can understand it. And child, this is all for us now. Now we friends. We in the room together. Because when they started talking about sensory overload and touch sensitivity, I was like, bitch, yes. Because honestly, baby, sometimes you can touch my neck and I am ready to make every single solitary bad decision there is. But for other neuro-spicy brown girls, it could be the exact opposite. Or maybe touching her neck is the go-to cheat code until the day it's not. Because now the day that it's not, you make her whole entire nervous system crash out. It's that unpredictable reaction to touch. And that's a thing for us. And it's tricky at best, to be completely honest with you, because we don't know when it's going to pop up. We don't know how we're going to respond to touch. Everyday sensations that are often considered neutral or even pleasant by neurotypical people, for us, it could show up real different. One of the terms that I just learned recently was hypersensitivity, and that's where like the little minor touches, or the light, unexpected physical contact can feel overwhelming to some, irritating or even painful. And when those things happen, it triggers that fight or flight response, leading to anxiety and a need to escape a situation, including sex. Fun times. Yeah, fun times. But then there's also the opposite, which is sensory seeking. And that's where you need a little more in touch. You're seeking more intense physical touch or sensation or pressure just to feel regulated. And I learned that I'm a combination of them both, but I'm mostly hypersensitive, but I don't get overwhelmed. It doesn't put me on fight or flight. I actually enjoy it more. And I think it has to do with the fact that I am extremely ticklish. Like, you could look at me the wrong way and I'm ticklish. But the sensory seeking side introduced me some good times as well. That's where I started experimenting. I love a little breath play, or like, nothing wrong with a little biting in between lovers, but if you're open to exploring different things, like I had to be, just so you can understand when it comes to what type of touch that you need or what type of touch that you will enjoy. You gotta experiment. The hard part is you gotta put your ego and sometimes your shame aside to embrace it. You have to embrace your curiosity, because sis, you're gonna have to touch yourself a lot, a whole lot. You have to know your body so well that you can redirect your partner without crashing out. And y'all know I ain't no gatekeeper, so I'm gonna share the one thing that I did to help me. It helped me understand my own sensory map. And it's because before you can tell someone how to touch you, you have to know how you like to be touched. And this exercise that I learned is called the mirror exercise. Now, listen, but I know right now people start looking at me a little crazy, but I don't want you to get scared or shy, because it's not about perfection. It's not about posing or trying to look like somebody little Instagram model. It's about awareness. It's about honoring your neuro-spicy, overstimulated, still sexy ass body, and how it works is simple. Do it at home. I prefer to do it in my bathroom. You could do it I prefer to do it in my bedroom. You could do it in your bathroom, but it has to be someplace quiet, private, where there's a mirror, because I'm going to tell you to stand in front of that mirror. Full length is best, but a half mirror will do just fine as well. But before you do anything, you got to breathe. Take one deep inhale and then let it out. Let your shoulders drop a little. Unclench your jaw. You got to relax. Because now I want you to look at your body, not to judge it, not to critique it, but to notice it. Look at your thighs. Look at your stomach, your arms, your breasts, your hips, your scars, your softness, your stretch marks, your changes. I want you to look at your everything. And then gently, and I mean gently, I want you to touch different parts of your body with your fingertips. Not in a sexual way right now, but in a sensory way. And then I want you to really be intentional about it. Ask yourself questions. How does it feel? Does it spot like a light touch? Does it prefer more pressure? Does it feel comforting or is it irritating? Does this area feel numb or sensitive? Do I like the temperature of my hands on my skin? Do I like texture of lotions or oils and everything? And it's because if you can't communicate those sensory needs during intimacy, if you've never experimented with how your own skin responds by yourself, most neuro-spicy girlies, they think that we react randomly, but we don't. If we slow down and we really just paid attention to our bodies, our body will tell us. Our body will tell us that I like that, or we can skip that, or try firmer, or that's too light, more of that, or don't touch me there today. The mirror exercise is all about building that relationship with your sensory self. It teaches you your yes, your no, or your not right now. And honestly, the more you practice it, the easier it becomes to say to your partner softly, clearly, without shame, touch me like this or not like that today. Because you're not guessing anymore. You're not enduring. You're not disassociating and just faking it till you make it. You're learning your body so that you can finally experience pleasure with intention, not just winging it and hoping for the best. We've all been there before. But one of the things that as older neuro-spicy girlies may not have been there before is we got to admit that ADHD is a hater. We got to say the quiet part out loud, especially when it comes to sex and intimacy. But when she pair up with her homegirl Perimenopause, it's fucking chaos. Like the way they remixed it, we were not prepared for it. Nobody told me that perimenopause was going to show up and supercharge my ADHD. Every symptom, Every symptom has been upgraded. My coping mechanisms, trash. They're absolutely useless right now. My entire nervous system, like, bitch, figure it out because I'm not here for this. Get it together. And the worst part, the part that I did not know was going to happen, is now I am showing up to the party with sandpaper pussy. Child, the way I had to have different conversations with men, like now I'm coming to the table like, hey, yo, in this season, at this big age, lube comes with the package. Yeah, it's a non-negotiable for me. Don't fight it, sweet pea. Don't fight it. Embrace it. Just let me know what kind of lube that you like so that we don't fuck up your sheets. Yeah, because, we got to get into what Perry brings to the table that impacts our sex lives, because she brings sensory overwhelm, irritability, increased dryness, faster emotional and physical shutdowns. Child, she brings lower tolerance, unpredictable touch, heightened emotional sensitivity, decreased ability to transition into intimacy. Does any of this sound familiar? Yeah. And that's because these symptoms overlap significantly with the ADHD symptoms that we are already fighting for our lives to get through. When these bitches get together, shit get crazy. And they tell us it's normal. They tell us we're not broken. We're not aging badly. It just means that our bodies are changing. And our intimacy practices, they need to change with it. And that might mean for some, that it needs lube or more foreplay, different positions, or a different type of stimulation. It definitely means more communication and less expectation. We can't expect that our bodies are going to respond the same way they did last year or 5 or 10 years ago. Honestly, I'm glad that we live in the day and age that we are now, because the Gen Xers, they not quiet about how Perry is dog walking her asses. We talk about the elephant in the room. When it comes to the shame, when it comes to the embarrassment, when it comes to the dry ass pussy, because be honest, dry ass pussy is deeply rooted in misconceptions about how our bodies work. Many people, including women, believe that if you are truly aroused, that your body will automatically produce the adequate amount of lubrication. Yeah, but that's not how it works. Especially with our ADHD bodies, especially during perimenopause. Shit, if you too stressed or on certain medications, man, listen, the ceiling fan can hit you the wrong way. And guess what? Sahara Desert. Like, it doesn't mean that we're not attracted to our partners anymore. It doesn't mean that the foreplay was inadequate. It doesn't mean that something is wrong with us. It just means that our body needs more support now. Especially in this area right now. And for me, it was a simple solution. Bitch, bring some lube to the party. Like, the shame is unnecessary and is actively harmful to our pleasure. So think about that. I talk about practice talking about it casually. Don't apologize for that shit. Don't make this big dramatic reveal. Just treat it like a practical tool that it is. Like, let me go grab some lube the same way we might say, let me turn some music on and cut the lights down. Normalize it in your own head first, and your partner will follow your lead. And if he doesn't, ask yourself, does he really deserve your seasoned box? But since we are on the topic of seasoned boxes, can we get into how we got to warm these old Chevys up? And I know don't nobody want to refer to their boxes as old Chevy, but listen, I have gray hair down there. Yeah, it's gray. So I'm fully aware that she's a grown ass woman and she don't have that get up and go like she used to. Yeah, she needs extensive foreplay to come alive. Except for that one time. That one time in Bahama Breeze where this man kissed me so deeply in the parking lot that I thought he was breathing for me. Child, she was awake so fast and fully prepared to go wherever this man was leading us. But that is an exception to the rule. That is not my normal. That is not my go-to. Normally she'd be like, lube me, please. And like normally we're like, we need neuro-spicy foreplay, and ours looks different. Like, we do sensory foreplay, the things that we can feel, the things that we can hear, sometimes taste, emotional foreplay. This is one is big for me, like feeling wanted, affirmations, feeling safe, knowing that he is present too. Transition foreplay is another one for me. It could be the music, it could be a massage, intentional breathing, but more importantly, is decompressing my day first. Get me out of work so I can get in the bedroom. For me, foreplay isn't optional. It's the runway my nervous system needs before takeoff. It's that transition time that my brain requires to go from busy, busy, busy to pleasure mode. It's the sensory regulation that my body needs before it can access arousal. And that's why neuro-spicy foreplay looks different. It's not about kissing and touching. It's about environmental preparation, emotional connection, sensory regulation. It's about creating conditions under which your body can actually say yes. You see what I did there? Yeah. But it takes time, and sometimes it takes more time than we think it should, and that's okay. Because sis, listen, rush it if you want. Rush it if you want. You will spend the whole entire session trying to catch up, but if you honor it, and everything that follows is going to become so much easier. And so honor it. Another thing that people don't like to talk about when it comes to us ADHD girlies is how we can be hyper fixated on the newness of a new lover. And just as quickly we lose interest in them or even sex altogether. Yeah. And the worst part of that is heartbreaking, because sometimes you can actually hurt somebody that you care about. You can make them think that they're not adequate, or just not adequate, or just the way the brain gets bored with routine. A brain that gets bored with routine, that craves routine. Hyperfixation doesn't mean that the attraction is gone. Just means dopamine left the building. It's definitely a us thing, and we actually have to own that shit before we hurt people. I can't tell you exactly how to do it for you, but I can tell you that for me, for the brown girl, for this girl, that I decided I was going to start testing out toys and dabbling with kinks, and that's because my particular flavor, neurodivergence, loves sensory variety. I love that firm touch. I love that soft touch, different textures, pressure changes, vibrations. You see where I'm going with this? For me, it heightens the experience, it heightens pleasure. It makes intimacy and sex more exciting. That's why I love the toys. It's not about something that's missing. It's about, it's honestly, it helps ground me. It helps my brain stay in the moment, stay engaged, stay present in pleasure. Toys with our partner, child, tag them in. That's a team sport. It's exploration. It's co-creation. It is everything. And it's communication. You do got to find the right words, especially with a new partner. It can be challenging. One of the things that it does help, that if you know your partner or have good chemistry with your partner, it makes the conversations easier. I also think it would probably help if they knew that you have ADHD and what it means. Like, so many of us are like secret squirrels. We don't want to talk about our mental health with somebody that we trying to, be nasty with. But if you can put his dick in your mouth, you can tell that man that you got ADHD and it comes with challenges in the bedroom. Sis, do better. No, you do better. Because honestly, all jokes and crass aside, our ADHD brains, they need stronger sensory input to stay focused, to stay present. Toys aren't optional. Sometimes they're necessary. Vibration provides consistent, predictable stimulation. Oh, it's a gem. But it also keeps your attention anchored into your body instead of wandering about your grocery list. The way I like to do it, I frame toys as something that, you want to explore together. Make it collaborative. Let your partner choose one. Shop for them together. Normalize them being part of your intimate toolkit. I'm not going to bring a big ass dick in the room, but I'm going to bring something softer, something that is non-threatening. It just helps you experience pleasure more. And a secure partner is all about everybody involved exploring pleasure more. Or you got an insecure partner who lets his ego lead. Choose wisely. Choose accordingly. Let the odds forever be in your favor. And I know some of y'all out here like, all right, girl, you've been talking about the challenges with ADHD. If you don't take yourself a drink or an edible and just go ahead and quiet your brain that way and enjoy the ride, like literally and figuratively. Yeah. Child, I already did. I did it one time. And guess what? That edible had a super delayed reaction and kicked in at the worst time when I was on top of this man. In my head, I am riding this man like he was the last dick on earth and my orgasm is going to save the world. My reality was I was just sitting there. Yeah, just sitting there with a goofy ass look on my face. Mm-hmm. And I did what any G would do in my situation. I was like, let's change positions. And it worked for a moment until this heat started. This heat started growing from the bottom of my feet, forcing its way through my body in waves. It was a different kind of heat. I was experiencing the unicorn of orgasms, the one that was about to bring on a full outer body experience or death. That edible had me on an astral plane. I wasn't relaxed. I was negotiating with the universe. Like, if this is the orgasm that kills me, tell my mama I love her. You know, it was pleasure, fear, spiritual warfare all at once. And the worst part to me is I was willing to choose death. What does that say about my character? After that, I said, bitch, never, ever again. My nervous system is already too dramatic without adding THC to the party. Y'all not going to have me choosing death again just for y'all fucking entertainment. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so, y'all, we coming up to the end. This whole episode for me, it was a vibe, and I know I can keep going, but my ADHD brain was like, "Girl, if we don't stop now, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole to a whole another topic." And so, hopefully, this is something that you guys found some value in. Hopefully, this is something that will help you learn to say yes, and say yes in a way that honors your brains and your bodies, And if nothing else, remember this: your yes is always going to be sacred. Your yes has to be intentional, and your yes requires safety, softness, pacing, and presence. And you deserve partners that can honor that. So when I tell you choose wisely because sis. But before I roll out, anybody that know me, I never miss an opportunity to do a little bit of journaling or make you think about things after I leave. And so I want to leave you with this journal prompt for homework per se. All right. So the journal prompt is, what does my body, brain, and spirit need in order to feel safe enough for me to say yes? And then how can I honor that without shame? I want you guys to focus that for the week. Focus on that however long that you need. Write it down, take a list, say it out loud to yourself. And because I am the gift that keeps on giving, I did create a free neuro-spicy sensual blueprint just for y'all. You got to go out to my Beacon site. It's beacons.ai/BrownGirlExperience and download your free copy today. And that's all I got. I think I've battled long enough, if you want to stay connected, to the good sis, you can always follow me on TikTok. I do try to post something on a semi-regular basis. My TikTok is the Brown Girl Experience. I'm sorry, the Brown Girl 1978. If you want to really stay connected with me, you can join my school community, which is under the Brown Girl Experience. That's where I get free resources. I have lives. We chat it up with each other. I have courses on there. Some courses are free, some courses at a cost. So if you're interested, it's the school community. It is a community that I'm building for Black women, for us to be able to be ourselves, reclaim our narratives, and heal the only way that we know how, to a dope soundtrack. All right. That's all I got for y'all today. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is the Brown Girl, created a Brown Girl Experience, and I will see you on next Sunday. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.